Peace be with you. The following is some practical advice from the Quran on who to make friends with. This is very important because a man is on the path of his friend, and who you make friends with may determine the outcome of your life. You have to have something in common with people to make friends with them. When I was a drug addict, drugs was something that I had in common. When I was a criminal, crime is what I had in common. You don't go to the masjid or even a church and talk about how you're stealing or how you're doing drugs because you know those people are going to punish you for it or condemn you for it. They won't want to be around you because these are moral people. You do that around people who are also criminals, who are also drug addicts. So if we make friends with such people, that is who we are going to become. Who you have as friends is not only a danger to the outcome of your life, but also a mirror that you can evaluate yourself by. So God tells us what to do. In the Quran, in the 18th chapter, verse 28, God tells us, "And behold yourself with those who call on their Lord morning and evening, desiring His goodwill. And do not let your eyes pass from them, desiring the beauties of this world's life. And do not follow him whose heart we have made unmindful of our remembrance, and he follows his desires. And his case is one in which all due bounds are exceeded." So don't be around people who follow only their desires and they just go against every single law of God. They are liars and they are cheats and they steal and they fornicate and they do drugs and do all these things. This is also very important for young Muslims who are looking for their place in the world. Just because you're lonely right now, it doesn't mean you're going to always be lonely. Don't sell your eternity by making friends with people who disobey God. It's just not worth it. I've been there. I'm speaking from experience. It's not worth it. Be around those who praise and glorify their Lord morning and evening. And of course, you only hope that these are not hypocrites. That's why you have to be very careful. The next verse I'm going to mention actually talks about that, and this is in the 6th chapter of the Quran, verse 70. And God tells us, "And leave those who have taken their religion for fun and games." Right? There are people who call themselves Muslims, but to them it's all fun and games. It's not the most important thing in their life. Leave them. "And whom the life of this world has deceived, and remind them thereby at least a soul should be given up to destruction for what it has earned. It will not have beside God any guardian nor an intercessor. And if it should seek to give every compensation, it will not be accepted from it. These are they who will be given up to destruction for what they have earned, and they will have a drink of boiling water and a painful punishment because they disbelieve." So these people who take their religion for fun and games, they don't do what God said, they don't do nothing. They just claim the label. These are just like the disbelievers. They disbelieved. Even though they claimed to be Muslims, or even you can even apply this to Christians, they have disbelieved. So just remove yourself from them because they're not about that life. They're not real, and they will lead you as astray as those who disbelieve, as those who desire only the world of this, this life's world. They will sacrifice anything for it. So be careful of them. The next verse is in the 11th chapter of the Quran, verse 113, and it says, "And do not incline to those who are unjust, lest the fire touches you, and you have no guardians besides God, and you will not be helped." People who are unjust, people who are thieves, people who are whatever, they can get you in just as much trouble as with God as anyone else. If you have a good friend of yours who decides to be a thief, and now he steals something, and he tells you they stole something, and now somebody comes to you, "Hey, do you know who stole this?" What are you going to do? You're going to protect your friend, or you're going to tell the truth? God says to be absolutely just and tell the truth, but we all want to be loyal to our friends. And that is a moral dilemma that is better avoided. Once people become thieves, once people become liars, trust me, they will steal from you and they will lie to you eventually. If the need arises, they will do that. They don't have the dedication to God that's supposed to prevent them from that. So it's better not to be around these people. Then there's another verse in the 22nd chapter of the Quran, verses 3 and 4. And this was talking about me. When I was an atheist, this was talking about me. And anybody who took me as a friend at that time, all they did is, all I attempted to hurt them. That's all I did. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't think I was hurting. I thought I was doing a good thing. But now I realize all I was doing is trying to sell them destruction. God says, "And among people there is he who disputes about God without knowledge and follows every rebellious devil. Against him it is written down that whoever takes him as a friend, he will lead him astray and conduct him to the punishment of the burning fire." And that's exactly what I did. There are people, my friends, who tried to tell me about Islam, and all I ever did is try to sow doubt in their mind and lead them away from it. Don't take people like that as friends. They're not your friends. They lead you to destruction. The next verse is in the 53rd chapter of the Quran, verse 29. Therefore turn aside from him who turns his back upon our reminder and does not desire anything but this world's life. You know, when people don't do what God commanded, you got no business around them. And that's as simple as that. The next two verses, the last two verses I'm going to mention are in regards to people you should just not be around no matter what. And this is why I don't argue with atheists. God says, and indeed he has revealed to you in the book that when you hear God's communications disbelieved in and mocked at, do not sit with them until they enter into some other discourse. Surely then you will be like them. Surely God will gather together the hypocrites and the unbelievers all in hell. So you can have conversations with people, but not about this. I will not sit with people and talk about this if they start doing that. I don't care. We can talk about the weather. We can talk about whatever. I will be kind to whomever is kind with me, but we're not going to talk about this. And this is in fourth chapter of the Quran, verse 140. And the last verse I will mention is in the 6th chapter of the Quran, verse 68. It says, and when you see those who enter into false discourses about our communications, withdraw from them until they enter into some other discourse. And if the devil causes you to forget, then do not sit after recollection with the unjust people. So that kind of is the same thing that I read from the 4th chapter of the Quran, verse 140. It's just, if these people are talking about the Quran and about God like that, don't sit with them. And if you sat with them and they talked about it and then you realize, oh my God, then don't ever sit with them again. If you can't remember to get up and leave, then don't ever sit with them again. This advice is especially, like I said, is especially important for people who are young, who seek friendship and who are seeking their life in the world. I remember how that is. This is how I became a drug addict, because I wanted friends. That's how I became a criminal, because I wanted friends. I had no friends, and then that made me find friends. It's not worth it. I've been there, I've done that, and I'm telling you, it's not worth it. There's nothing good on that side. This is sincere advice from God that will save you from a lot of pain. There's nothing but pain down that road. Trust me. Surrounding yourself with bad people, doing bad things to please bad people is just not worth it. I hope you hear God, because this is not advice from me. This is advice from God. I am one of the stupid ones that didn't listen to this and got burned all along the way. Only by the mercy of God am I where I am at. But I tried to destroy my life every which way, and this was one of them. And I'm telling you, it ain't worth it. Peace be with you.